Peace and love, strength and honor, Samir Saif, representing Ontario Top Team, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, and functional range conditioning. Today I'm going to teach you the boxing stance and the boxing shell. We are going to use Island Top Team Concepts formula to teach you the boxing stance in 3 easy steps. When I say orthodox stance, that means that you are dominant in the right hand. If I say southpaw, that means you are dominant in the left hand. In boxing, you take your dominant hand and put it to the rear. And you take your weaker hand or non-dominant hand and put it in the front. So now we are going to use the first part of a 3-part formula, base. Base means a platform from which I absorb force and exert force. So this platform has to absorb the punches and movements that's involved in boxing, and also the strikes that I counter back with or move around with. So I have to be able to hit and move and absorb. So base becomes the first and most important thing that you need to learn about your boxing stance. So in this case, I'm going to take my dominant hand and place the palm of my glove on the inside of my knee so that my glove is kind of cupping my left knee. My rear elbow, when bent, should fit inside my right knee comfortably. That will figure out for me the width and length of my stance. The next thing I want to use is perhaps a line. I find a straight line, the same thing. You'll notice on this line that my front toe just barely touches the line and my rear heel touches the line. Some boxers prefer a bit more of a narrow stance. Some boxers prefer a bit of a wider stance. That will be a preference. The same rule applies. I take my palm, put it on the inside of my knee, elbow, and as you see, they both fit inside. Now, say I want to fight a little bit wider, you see it still works. So whether I fight 30-degree parallel where my feet almost look like they're in line of each other, where I'm in a side stance, or I'm a little bit wider, that's more of a preference. I believe both are very acceptable. That is base. The next thing we need to figure out is structure. And structure is the most efficient, most effective way to use your limbs. So here I am in my boxing stance with my body quarter turned, so I'm not square, I'm not sideways, I'm just kind of in between, leading with my left shoulder, with my right shoulder back. All I do from here is see where my elbows naturally lay. In biology, it's perfect. The biological evolution of our bodies is amazing. They built a boxing stance for us. All I do is lift my arms. That's it. My elbows lay in such a way that if I was struck under pressure and crumpled, you must have heard, he fetal, or he went into fetal position, or he curled up. And when we curl up, we automatically cover our organs in our head and our neck. That's just nature. So let's use nature. I don't have to figure out, put my elbows out wide, bring my elbows in. I don't have to do anything. I just go here and you see it starts to protect the liver. It starts to protect the spleen automatically. So from here now with the structure, if I turn my gloves out, you tend to get your gloves, they're not strong this way. So your gloves hit back into your face, and it also does some hyperextension to your elbows. So you're better off to turn in your gloves where you don't have that hyperextension and you can absorb much better. That's how your limbs are made. They're not made to absorb this way. This is the way we protect and we absorb. That'll be structure with one added bonus of me shrugging my shoulders as the last part of my limbs, shrugging my shoulders. So as you can see, I didn't raise my hands. I shrugged my shoulders. That means my elbows can stay in place and protect my ribs. The last part is posture. And I'm going to leave my hands down so that you can see what my neck and head is doing. Posture is the spinal alignment of our head and our spine. So if I move and my head goes, the body will go too. So I need to learn to have spinal alignment so that where my spine goes, my head is following in the same line. And that's why you see some boxers have their hands down and they don't get hit, because they understand spinal alignment, so they're never off balance. Now, along with spinal alignment, I look at the target, which means that my jaw and chin automatically gets protected, because remember, in the structure part, I was in the I don't know position. So when I punch, I'm automatically hidden behind that punch, and my chin, without me having to tuck it down, is already tucked. And even with a cross hand, I'm hidden behind the glove, and as you can see, I'm in behind the shoulder. So these are the three pieces that we use to put together the boxing stance. Now, one thing that I can add is that there will be two positions for that rear foot. So no matter when I check, you'll see I can raise my heel, which will allow me to power myself about in the ring and be mobile and move, or I can place it flat and be in a position where I'm absorbing and taking more force and I don't fall over. Those kind of details will follow up in another video. But this one, I want to cover the basic boxing stance. You'll hear me talk about the boxing shell. And all the boxing shell is, when we're moving around and we start to loosen up from this tight position as we're learning our boxing skills, that shell is me ducking inside. So instead of me lifting my gloves, lifting my forearm, elbow, blocking down for shots, I learned to be the turtle. And the turtle is a very effective creature to protect itself. So the shell formula is, when I am in trouble and I am getting beat on, I don't start blocking and turning and moving my limbs. You don't break structure. You go turtle, and you turtle until you can survive or figure out some strategy to get out. You look through your eyebrows. That is the turtle shell. Learning not to take your shell off, but to use it to your advantage until you're ready to come and see what's going on. Peace and love, strength and honor. Samir Saif, representing Ontario Top Team, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, functional range conditioning. Pow!